Hey, folks, it's Mike Messier here, and very scary situations going on in the pro wrestling world. Daffney Unger, WCW, that's how I most often think of her. Well, it also experienced in a lot of promotions, TNA, but she was doing an Instagram video and live feed, apparently a series of live feeds tonight on Instagram, and Daffney was expressing thoughts of suicide. And um, some people really freaked out. And in the clip that I happened to see on Twitter, it looked like she had something under her blanket, and people were concerned that that was some type of weapon or type of thing. And then somebody from her Instagram feed, I don't know if it's a real life friend or just a follower, somehow had information or claimed to have information, claiming that Daffney had a gun. So apparently, many people have called the police. Many people are, as much as possible, they've called the authorities. So there's nothing that anyone can do right now except for wait to see if the authorities were able to help Daffney um, before she did anything bad. And by bad, the self harm. So this is real deal stuff, folks. Of course, we all have fun with pro wrestling, but this is not fun. This is a real life situation with a woman who really provided a lot of entertainment for a lot of people. And, through Instagram, apparently she still is providing some entertainment. And I can't say that I've kept up with Daffney. I really just knew her from WCW fame. A relative of mine in real life actually met Daffney once, and said that Daffney was very fun and like the life of the party type of personality. So there's that connection. But I never met Daffney in real life. I just a concerned fan, like probably yourselves, if you're watching this. I do pro wrestling tributes. I do pro wrestling rants. But in Daphne's case, we don't want to. We just hope that she's going to be okay, first and foremost. But just on a positive spin for her career, uh, I don't know, Square. I could share that. I mean, but squared circle bones. Do I think Reefer could help the situation? I don't know. Squared circle bones or squared circle. Uh, some people. I mean, I'll take that question seriously though, because it's a good question. In medical marijuana or any type of marijuana, can it help some people relax or with depression? Some people claim that. So who knows? So I don't know if you're joking or not, but I'll take it seriously. It's possible that medical marijuana, could help someone with depression. I guess I'll go into a little bit of tangent here, folks. I have actually been taking a course, um, kind of a suicide prevention course, not for me, but to help other people, just to be aware, like a suicide awareness course I've been taking for 5 weeks. And it's very interesting. And the statistics of suicide are so large that you can go Google it or whatever else you want to do, but the suicide rates are very high. So when I see something like this with Daphne, who had such a great career in wrestling, it's very disturbing. With pro wrestling, we've had a lot of suicides. Kerry Von Erich comes to mind right away. 1993, February. 1987, Mike Von Erich. Um, I think Chris Von Erich was 91, perhaps. And Gino Hernandez, although some say that might have been a murder. But we've had other wrestlers who have passed away at a young age. I'm wearing the T-shirt of Brian Pillman tonight. So I mean, we have a whole wrestling community which has had people pass away at these young ages. So it's definitely not a joking matter. And here's the thing with squared circle squares. I'm not an expert on medical marijuana or CBT or just pot, whatever you want to call it. Um, I would like to think, and I could be wrong, that if you can get through life with the minimal amount of influence from drugs and alcohol, probably the better off you're going to be. and somebody will have some type of give back to that, retort, if you would. But my opinion is, when you're, straight and narrow, so to speak, um, with what's going into your mind, you can't blame anything else for your decisions. You can't blame the marijuana, you can't blame the drugs, you can't blame the alcohol for what you said or what you did. I'd rather be accountable for my own actions, and be happy with the success or suffer the consequences, than blame or credit an outside influence for what happens to me, namely drugs or alcohol. So that's just my take on it. I've got no judgment against anyone else. Throughout the land, marijuana is becoming legal all the time. I have no idea in this. I don't think you were mentioning her case, but who knows? Who knows, man? I don't know. So, but fine topic. I hope I did it justice, maybe too much justice, but I hope I addressed that properly. But getting back to Daffney, I'm just pulling for her, as I'm sure you are, wrestling fans. If you're somehow finding this video, I have no great big update other than what I've been seeing on Twitter. I just checked before I went on here. Also wanted to say, sometimes you hear about these copycat cases. Please, folks, if any of you are out there and you're feeling lonely, depressed, distressed, I've seen people already on Twitter who are getting very anxious about this situation with Daffney. No copycats. No copycats allowed. Okay. So we don't want anyone doing that type of shit. It's not worth it. There's no prestige in that. I remember the case of Kurt Cobain after his death, 1994. Apparently, 4 men in that vicinity committed suicide. They thought they were honoring him or they were going to join him. So, if you're the type of person who has thoughts that get scary, I would suggest reaching out to a friend, regardless what time it is, or a family member, or whatever the national suicide hotline is in your part of the world. Don't be afraid to get some help, because a week from now, your situation might be a lot better than it is tonight. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to reach out to a friend, a family member, but don't do anything drastic. Uh, Suicide is a permanent decision for temporary problems. That's what it comes down to. So we don't want anyone to do anything that's going to harm them. And like I said, I'm pulling for Daffney. I really enjoyed Daffney's work. This is just my thoughts, folks. I don't have any big breaking news that you can't find on Twitter or Instagram. And I think right now, what's kind of scary is there hasn't been an update in a while. Like, it's kind of like a couple of hours ago, people are saying that these police people were sent over to Daffney's residence, that they've been sent, and then we've heard radio silent, meaning no updates from anyone. So now it's just that anxiety kicks in. You're concerned about this person, whether you knew her personally, especially if you knew her personally, but also for the fans. And pro wrestling fans are very loyal. They're very emotionally invested. We pro wrestling fans take ownership sometimes of the wrestling or wrestling promotions. We want to be the booker. In this case, I think everybody wants to help solve the problem, but unfortunately, we're miles away from this young lady. At least most of us. Maybe somebody out there knows her. Thank you for this video and these words. Part one, I've been a fan of Daffney for so long is because I raked her battle with mental health. I've been where she is, so this really hits home. Yeah, it does, Paul, and I appreciate you chiming in. And you can chime in with more if you want. You can say another comment, and I'll put it up there. I hope you don't mind I put that comment on there. But basically, Paul, we're pulling for this lady. She was amazing in WCW, screaming Daffney Unger. I did catch a clip. I kind of forgot, but I saw Abyss, choke slamming Daffney off the top of a cage. And that was on Daffney's Instagram. And folks, I try to avoid the pop culture circus, but with something like this, I don't know. It just hit me a little bit hard tonight. Like I said, I had a relative who met Daffney in real life, and my relative was not a pro wrestling fan, but she met Daffney and was highly entertained by Daffney. So I always like that connection. But I never met Daffney, and I'm just a big fan, and just she was one of the bright spots on the dying days of. We will pray for your friend Evita. We are praying for her. We are thinking of Daffney tonight. I'm assuming you mean Daffney. If you mean someone else, that's fine, and we'll pray for that friend as well. But I'm assuming you mean Daffney. Unger is her wrestling name. I'm not going to give her shoot name, her real name. For non-wrestling fans, shoot means reality of the situation. We're not going to say Daffney's real name. Daffney Unger is how she's known to wrestling fans. She's been a fixture in WCW. She's been a fixture in TNA wrestling, a lot of independents. And Evita, well, look, we are pulling for Daffney. And what I'm kind of sharing, Evita, is my stress, which I'm sure you're feeling worse than I am, that there have not been updates in a couple of hours. We have not had a couple of updates in a couple of hours, and that's not good to hear. So, Evita, thank you for checking in. And it's upsetting when something like this happens. And what I want people to consider is, like I said, no copycats. Nobody do anything that you would leave your family behind. I've been taking, like I said, this suicide awareness class for 5 weeks. And what people need to realize, suicide, self-harm, permanent solution to temporary problems. And if you could see, like in that It's a Wonderful Life type of thing, the damage that you would do to people if you were to commit suicide or even attempt to, the damage you do to your kids, your parents, your cousins, your friends, even your acquaintances. If you're a lone wolf out there, your acquaintances, probably more people care about you than you know. We've called the police and listening, no reports of any self-harm. So that's good. Very good. We called 911, so we are in contact. Thank you. Well, Evita, that's probably the best news I've heard all day with this situation, since it's been going on for 3 or 4 hours. Um, well, great. I mean, I'm if she is in one piece, that's the first start to this, to the road to recovery. And I hope that Daffney is in one piece and she's fine physically, and then she can get some counseling, some help, some whatever you want to call it, therapy, intervention, whatever. I'm just putting words out there. I don't know the lady as much as you do, but I'm hoping that the support system, friends like yourself, Evita, family, um, I hope everyone comes through and she does her part as well. And that's one thing sometimes we got to remember. As much as we are a community, whether it's wrestling fans or just people, ultimately the individual has to take care of themselves. And sometimes that's a challenge. And especially the last 2 years with these worldwide situations, it's been a challenge for a lot of people. I don't know if that's part of what's going on with Daffney or not. I'm just meaning people in general. In her case, I don't know what the situation is, but I'm pulling for her, and we're all pulling for Daffney. That's why we're here. So, Vita, I want to thank you for the update here. And from what I understand, from what you're saying, Evita, is that she's in one piece. So I'm really happy to hear that. And wow, what an emotional roller coaster, folks. This is intense stuff. This is real life stuff. This is not storyline shtick. This is pro wrestling, but it's humanity. It's people. I mean, and we all look. If anyone takes this fucking wrestling seriously, it's me. If you've seen my Pro Wrestling Rants, or if you've never seen them, you're welcome to watch them. I get very worked up about what I think pro wrestling should be like. I prefer the Jim Crockett Jr. style of pro wrestling, uh, but we want to know that all wrestling fans are welcome. We don't know what is going on with her physically, but no reports of self-harm yet. Fantastic. So that's great. I'll put that up there again. I think that's awesome news, Evita. We explained to be discreet, to dispatch. They don't give out her info to the masses. Very good. So this is good news, and I hope you don't mind me sharing this, just because I know that the wrestling fans, Avita, are pulling for this lady, and there is some, like I said before, anxiety that comes with this type of thing on social media, that fans get so emotionally connected to the wrestlers, even wrestlers they haven't seen in a long time, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. You get emotionally connected, so you want the fans to know that she's okay. And please share. Well, that's what we're here for. And you find folks, Avita, you can share this video. Let Daffney know we give a shit. We care. We are in her corner. Like I said, I had a family member who met Daffney in Santa Monica, is where it was. So that might trigger a memory. But we want Daffney to know that we love her. We care about her. We respect her work. We want her to get better. And she can take all the time she needs. There's no rush. There's no rush when you're talking about your mental health, your emotional health, your freedom of thought, your happiness. I'm sure that she's had a rough time in this last year and a half, 2 years. We've all had a rough time. I don't know the specifics. I don't need to know the specifics. But all we want to say is, Daffney, we're pulling for you. We really want you to get better, and we want you to have a good life. And whether that's with pro wrestling or outside of pro wrestling, that's up to you. But she'll always be someone that lit up our TV screens on Monday Nitro, and then with TNA Wrestling and other wrestling groups. So, Screaming Daffney, I was telling my friends, David Flair, Crowbar. I mean, just looking at some of her Instagram pictures, that was a hot ticket item. The Daffney was a hot ticket, and Daffney and David Flair and Crowbar, she was, no offense to those guys, especially Crowbar, because Devin Storm's a great worker, but she was the star of that trio. And if WCW had been in better shape in that 2000-2001 era, who knows? I mean, we'd still be talking, Daffney, her career, if WCW was in a better point at that point, she would have really profited, as would a lot of wrestlers. But I'm glad to hear, just putting, folks, Avita had some nice updates. And I really appreciate that, Avita. So I'm assuming you're in the location that she's at, in the part of the USA. And so it's good. So we're hoping and we're praying for Daffney's health. And so, folks, according to Avita, and look, just to clarify, I don't know Avita personally, but I'm taking her at value here, because I believe in the seriousness of this, that maybe better than we had feared is probably the way I would put it. But once again, I'm not a news source. I'm not making phone calls. I just came out here to just say to the wrestling fans that we want her to be safe, and we're pulling for her. Yeah, I believe you, Avita. I'm just CYA, covering my ass, so to speak. That I'm just saying what I'm comfortable saying, which is we're pulling for her. But this is not CNN. This is not Fox News. It's just subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel. So, Avita, I hope you can see your friend Daffney as soon as possible, and let her know that we care about her. Let her know that we're concerned about her. You can share this video if you feel it's appropriate. And we want her to know that we do care. And we want her to know that we're pulling for her, and that she deserves the best in life. And the pro wrestling fans, don't forget, pro wrestling fans have long memories. And whatever is bothering her, Daffney, once again, Daffney, no permanent solutions to temporary problems. It might seem like a mountain, but you are capable of taking an axe, a metaphorical axe, and chopping that mountain of problems down until it's just stuff you can deal with. Okay, so very good. Avita, thank you so much for your updates. And we're pulling for this lady once again. Subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel. Thanks, everyone, for checking in. You can rewind this live feed if you want to catch all the things we said. Once again, I'm not a news source. I'm a pro wrestling fan, and I'm concerned about Daffney, as we all are. And Wrestling Kingdom chimes in. cool friend. I'm also reporting on it. I've met her, one of my many wrestlers I met. She's up there and one of my favorites to listen. Yeah, she's great. I mean, she's, there's a lot of wrestlers. It's interesting that the wrestlers that do podcasts and Instagram stuff, some of them, like, a Shane Douglas. I'd never get tired of listening to Shane Douglas. Francine has come out in the last couple of years as a top podcaster. Francine was very concerned about Daffney tonight. Vince Russo, for his credit, he has a lot of the wrestlers, just incredible. I've interviewed some of the wrestlers from my channel, Sam Houston. I've interviewed Bob Backlund. I'm looking outside. There's a stray cat walking around right now. Some of the wrestlers that were like the top main event guys and gals in wrestling, they can't really do good interviews. Like Ric Flair, as much as I'm a Ric Flair fan, listening to Woo Nation is like, that's like going 60 minutes in the ring with Flair. It's pretty hard. I mean, Woo, you know what I mean? So just lightening the mood a little bit. But some of the wrestlers that weren't the main event talent, so to speak, are some of the more fun to listen to. They just have a more down-to-earth perspective or a more humorous perspective. You think about a guy like Brad Armstrong from the 80s. He would have been a good podcaster, apparently, because he has a good personality. Francine is amazing. Bless her. We've been talking. She's hanging in there. Well, I'm glad to hear that, because Francine's a classy lady. She's a beautiful woman, too. I'm just watching the action here. This is car and this cat. But anyway, Francine, ECW legend, the Pitbull, Shane Douglas. Well, here we go. Lulu, check it in. Marijuana can also drive bipolar people or manic people over the edge. And then Wrestle Kingdom has a question for Avita there. And Avita, I'll let you respond. So I'll take on this marijuana topic. Lulu, I'm not advocating for marijuana myself. Another person chimed in earlier with some thoughts on it, and I addressed the question. I would say that for me, I don't use it. I don't smoke it. And I agree with you, Lulu. I hope to God she's okay. And if you rewind this when we're done, Avita's been providing some good updates that would seem to be a little more positive than we had the indication of earlier. Meaning that it seems, according to Avita, that Daffney's physically in good shape and she's been attended to. So we're all pulling for her. As far as this marijuana thing goes, folks, it's a debate maybe for another time, another video, but I don't personally use it. I might look like I fucking do, but I have friends that do, and you know what I mean? So I have no judgment against people that use it. I do. To be honest with you, if I go somewhere and I smell the smell of marijuana, it kind of tweaks me out a little bit, because you kind of know that sets the pace. And I don't know if I'd want to live with someone that smoked a lot of pot, to be honest with you. And I tend to find that people that, like I said earlier, that use a lot of drugs or alcohol, sometimes they use those things as a vice or as an excuse for their actions. And I don't like that. If you're going to do something, you do it. Don't blame the fucking drink. Don't blame the fucking pot. Don't blame the fucking drug. You took those things. You live with your actions. So we're having a little bit of a Daffney support party here, folks. We've had some good updates. Avita is saying that she's a personal friend, and I do believe her. Thanks, Paul. Paul Hedrick Network, subscribed. And you're all welcome to subscribe. And Lulu, no, I'm not judging, man. I'm just seeing my cousin who was manic really go downhill on it. Neither do I, bro. I'm just saying, to be honest, I'm not terribly comfortable with marijuana, but I don't judge people that take it, because maybe medicinally they profit from it. So I don't know. Let's see. Okay, so Avita is saying, I'm sorry, we have no legit news. We know the police got to what they think is wrong. That's okay. Well, let's put it this way. We are hoping that the police got to Daffney and she did not do any self-harm. And that's what we're hoping for. Let's put it that way. So we do not have legit news. There was no claim here to be a news source. This is simply concern. That's the title of the video, I think. So we're just concerned for this lady. And yeah, we don't. Thanks, Wrestle Kingdom. Like I said, I'm miles away. I'm in Florida, so somebody said that Daphne's here in Florida, but I don't know where she is. So, uh, some pretty heavy stuff here, folks. No reports. Okay, good. Yeah, I hear you, man. We got two conversations at once. Keeping with the Daphne thing, folks. Once again, I'm not a news source. I came in here to express concern and also to express to folks that might be feeling very tweaky about this. Don't do any self harm to yourself. No copycats allowed. We want everyone to be safe, and the wrestling fans are so attached emotionally to their wrestlers. I worry about the wrestling fans. Just looking at the Twitter feed, there's some people that are getting really screwed up about this. So, folks, do yourself a favor, relax, take a breath, and don't internalize this situation because your life is very important. So, we don't want anyone to hurt themselves tonight. And we're pulling for Daphne. We're pulling for everybody to get through it. And yeah, so once again, folks, I'm a big fan of Daphne. If you're just chiming in here, it's a live stream off the cuff. Big fan of Daphne. Never met her personally. I had a relative that met Daphne, said she was a very exciting person, life of the party. We're pulling for this woman. We want her to be safe. We want her to be happy. Avita is saying that she's a friend of Daphne. I do believe her, just based on the seriousness of the topic. But once again, I'm not personal friends with Avita. She's checking in, and I'm pulling for Daphne hardcore. So we want Daphne to know that we care about her, and we want her to be safe and living a great life. And for all the wrestling fans out there, this is what this live stream is all about. I'm not going to show that fucking video. I know that some people are saying, well, it was on Instagram Live, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I watched it. I will say this right now. If you have not watched the video, I would probably advise not to. I think it's very disturbing. Thanks, Avita. Very disturbing video. I happened to watch it. I wouldn't suggest anyone. I would say don't watch it, quite honestly. Um, yeah. So this is good, folks. I mean, if the news is that there was no shots, uh, or at least let's put it this way, there are not reports of shots fired or of anyone dead. That's what we are being told. Okay. So now, what we're trying to dance around is we have no reports of bad news. Uh, and if that bad news was there, we probably would have heard it by now. That's what we're thinking. I don't know if I'm dancing around this enough. Yeah, it was very scary. And that's the thing. The video was very scary. And I watched it 2 or 3 times and then I had to get away from it. And it was apparently an Instagram live thing she was doing. And we could go into a whole other discourse about social media and the dangers of it. But that's really not what we want to do here. I could definitely talk about that, though. I could talk about this whole culture that we're in with social media and stuff like that. But if you look at the situation we're in with this worldwide situation, as I call it, why wouldn't people take to the internet and social media feeds? I accidentally saw the video and I was so heartbroken, and the comments were awful. But I hope she is well, that she sees this and knows there are many of us who really do care. Of course, very good, Paul Hedrick Network. Um, yeah, that's the thing. The video was very scary. I don't know what the hell was going on in that Instagram space, if you want to call it that. I'm sure that it was very frightening and disturbing to some of the watchers of it. So for the people that saw the video and that are disturbed, and maybe somehow they've popped in here, try to cleanse it from your spirit. Try to compartmentalize it or discuss it with a friend or say something here if you want, because it was a fucking scary video. And so, you're seeing this person who obviously you're a fan of through wrestling or through, I believe she has a art page. I think it was Etsy that she has. So if you're a fan of this lady and she seems totally distressed and it's confusing if she had some type of weapon underneath that blanket, who knows? But yeah, it's pretty fucked up. And so that's what I'm trying to say. No copycats, no copycats allowed. We don't want anyone doing this stuff because, like I said, think about the families, think about the friends, the acquaintances, think about the hole you would leave in the universe that no one else would fill. That's pretty hardcore shit, but that's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. And like I said, I've been taking this suicide prevention class, trying to learn about these things. The statistics of suicide are through the fucking roof in the USA and worldwide. And I didn't realize how big of a problem this is. It's a huge problem. It's a huge scenario. And I'm pulling for Daffney. I'm also getting low on power here, folks. So I want to thank those that have checked in. Avita's been great. Paul Hedrick Network. Oh, this is a great thing to end on. Kenny is going to take us home with this one. Sometimes things go downhill. Just remember, sometimes things go downhill, but just remember you are loved, you matter, and you make a difference. Perfect. Kenny Bryson. Love that, man. Great stuff. And so if you're a pro wrestling fan, if you're a Daffney fan, if Daffney Unger, her friends and family, we don't have the news. We just have the thoughts. We just have the prayers. We just have the hopes. We're pulling for Daffney Unger tonight. We're pulling for the wrestling community. We cannot allow and tolerate any more of our wrestling heroes going down this way. I've lived through the Von Erichs deaths. I've lived through the deaths of Perfect and Rude. Lived through the death of fucking Pillman. And I do not want to see this continue with these pro wrestling heroes of ours. So that's it. Okay, folks. It's the Enigma has some more thoughts, but no offense, it's Enigma. I hear what you're saying, buddy. We're going to let it go at that. This has been subscribed to Mike Messier YouTube channel. This is the Daffney Unger support video. We're supporting Daffney. If you missed any part of this, you can watch it again. And to Avita and to all the Daffney's friends and families, thank you so much. Tell her we love her and that we're pulling for her. And all the wrestling fans, thank you so much for watching, and we'll check you next time. Subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel. Daffney Unger, we've got your back.